Okay, wonderful. So hello, everyone. Welcome. It's really good to see you all. I know you've already been sort of participating in the biology sessions for a couple of days now, and we are really excited. So I'm here with two of our ETSI student mentors, and we're really excited to get going with this current session.
아니 참말로 트스텔레시스 아니 데비니마 카시치나 라치소 그 징유 찬리 강라야 아니 조시카치 강라도 스타일레스 아니 데리 내가 단단다 에메리트 부지 센리 레람게 단다 데라야 긴둠 파초라 아니 칠럽든 지니기 아니 에메리글 럽트 센리 장니글 럽트 니단 삼트 아니 데랭아 소게 아니 조시카치 모토치기인스
So for this first session today, our student mentors, we've got David and George, and I'm sure you can introduce yourselves a little bit more as well, but they're really gonna take the lead. They specially designed this session for you all, and it's going to be a great lead-in. So you'll talk about some scientific research methods, and then we will start actually looking at a research paper in the second session.
that in Banadanga to Emery Lop teacher and Emery Lobjon Yoni Kutsula and it and the Lampton Chini David na George Koroni and the Tigris, the Koroni Chiati so it's Henry Shimji Tabling Tela, Nicaradochi Chatinka Sangi Mete, Tola Young Tigris, Nitigi Jela, Nitsota Niba, the Capsung at Suton Mus, any Shimji Zomi Kachila Yata de Denku. And
with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and I will turn it over. And David and George, you can get started with your lesson.
So thank you very much for the wonderful introduction, Kelsey. Hello, everybody. My name is David Goldberg. As Kelsey just gave that wonderful introduction, I am a student at Emory, a current senior studying biology. Like many of you guys, and I am an ETSI peer mentor, right? George, who is also with me, is another ETSI peer mentor, another senior, very good friend of mine, and he is studying chemistry.
Some of the crystal issues, give me that Davis is Tanda Ngara Emery Laya, Hobjon Chigi, Emery Hobjon teaching it's Henry Ganlaya, Hobjon Chigi, Tanda Emery. Ne Triganane Tanda Lurum Tama senior in Sroa, and Tanda Ni Ropa George and Bana Topoyin, Yamd Tanda, and Tanda Dela Emery, the Tobjon Chini, Kusutani Kusuro, Kusula, and something to me, Roram Chiatig, and the Korokachu, I think another Yamdi Chigis, Ne Koran in Bana, George in Bana, so the Korange Kolaya Tanda Lurum Tama Reswa, Chesutanashin, and the trees. And we
are all very, very excited to work with you guys and teach you guys today. So without further ado, why don't we begin? Can you all see my screen? Does this look good? Yes. Can you see it? Perfect. Yes. Still can see it.
Yes.
Perfect. So today, George and I are here to talk a little bit about sort of what is science, what is research, right? You guys have talked about this a lot. And what is the scientific method? Those are our main goals.
That didn't by that that's so Mabuchi Tulatonga Gani, George Tangara, and you get from Cindy Tatri, instead, they run the cups of Suchi there, and it's Henry Senecare, Shimjig Senecare, and it's Henry Tablin Senecare, they thought Motochigins.
So what is science and what is research, right? These words get thrown around a lot. And so what are they really? Well, research is the manner in which scientists learn new things via a series of experiments or studying the world around them through careful observation.
That under the capsule at Sola, Henry Carre, Shimji Carre, say, get to the energy, Yansi, Mambuyongo, written on it, Henry said, Shimji say, to the topper good edge, Chagaris. That Shimji Senaka is an Yanko Takshare, the Rimba Shim the Dede, Department Yanako, and it Tapshi Shitsopu, Jilde, Atsugi, Zamlala, karsugoda eko shimjigi chiwatang yana da zamlinga kola ya shisha sawa nyepala tene dete ani chanru pagunguni da hisha sawa de ani chiga thobjung chiage tablin tang yana liksu chichagi yores.
To me, it's really interesting. When most people think of research, they think of some scientist in a lab doing experiments and getting really into it. But it doesn't have to be like that. Research can really just be observations. It could be looking at the world around you and noticing certain things.
That handsomely Natsuki Chitigisa by a Shimjik Senakaris and a Chitsenru Bage and a Takshe Kangnane. Takars trajibo shitsapo shuchi chigyo by number tindado chingwanguris. Imba sans me tindado shimjix and sama tindado imgo again Nikaya chagyo maris. Caris by naturangi nature yun laya zamnangani to non chachgoro, tapshila puchachgoro, team by Nayanko shimjik shashi chagyoris.
And so then science, well, science is the collection of factual knowledge that makes up our best understanding of how things work.
That in its Henry said, Carisena, and a sugi jawa, get a new book, jawa, chetanchi or a new book like a chetanti, and a sugiti cola, how could you go Yashi, and Yamton dubige, and she shall get up home and she should chodity like Henry says.
And now science, well, you guys have been learning science for many years, right? It could be like picking up a textbook, reading about biology and simple concepts, and learning about our current understanding of the world.
Zamlingange and Nichi Kotok Sabatan, Jotang, Nitante Kanadochi, Batikola, Nichi Janwagi, Banetic Shishatia, and Sericonstok.
But for me, I don't really love these definitions somewhat because they make them seem totally separate, like science has nothing to do with research. And I think that's sort of wrong.
I'm Bana dela Yatan, Joa Chitrisha, Dashi Chitrisha, Senrita, Takshe Seg, Dashi Chitrisha, Dela Ya, Chita Gagimidus, Karchilava and Bana, those Tabaina, and Henry said that Shimji said the Parola and Joa made you get Nathan Roching, those things Tambale, they should go miss.
See, science and research are actually really, really connected, right? Science, because it's the body of knowledge, even though it's our best understanding right now, it's not complete. We don't know everything.
That Andangazu Henry system Balangatsuga, that she shaggy, that under Pertangatsuga Hakuagi, she shaggy Pongu, Chila Kugu or Wakuga, Kugu Yurta Imbainaya, the co Karsugureta, Drame Patinaris and a Maris, Tanda Pertangatsuga, that called Zamlingili Kachitantang, Chingubugatelaya, Shibu Koto Yashuteris, Timatope, Drame Patanadochi Maris, Shishago Ponchuris.
So when science doesn't know something or wants to learn a little bit more about something, it comes up with certain questions like, why is this the way it is? Or how can this be done? And it hands those questions to research and to scientists who are doing research.
That decapsulated Henry Kish, New Bochicalica Chetan, Hakume by Batan, Yana, New Bochicalica Chetan, Tony Trova in Bina. Nicarium Grace and Ale didn't do Nuvijan Sankarinas, Rwandi didn't know Chikandasina say Joating Goris. That Joadium Batilatin dete, and I to Shimjiki, Tachi Lamla Shuyela, Nikumata, and Shimjik Lamla Shiagi, Goti Twingoris.
And then when those scientists do various experiments or various forms of data collection, their job is to answer those questions. And then when they understand something more about the world around us, they give those answers back to science, which improves our base of knowledge.
That's Henry Pasu get Joa Teta Laya, Temne, and Kosugeta, Shimji Mambutabatan, and a Trampu Mambuchi the Ruchigroa, the Ruchi Trampu Mambuchi the Ruchitua, and the thing at Shisha Sarvania, Tanko Toxawa Rangorwa, those young they think Gangi Troa Tonjutilaya. Len Ryan Goris. The land they don't atsugi, and she shaggy pompoted water, tampoting sensu says she shall compoaching, but she shall pompotin at the canon jabke, then atsugi at Henrique, she shaggy pompoting by na, ko ta jichu tang jichu la du res.
So in this way, the relationship between science and research is very interconnected, right? Science and research, it's bi-directional. They both give to each other.
Ta dan de kap sang chu do samlo tang bai bai na chen ri tang shim ji se de ani ha chang da be de chi la chi tem ba im ba ma se chi la chi tem bin ro yo pa ta ani ko ran ta chen ri tang shim ji se be kap se en ka chu ni la dro yo pa ka chu ni la dro yo pa ro chi la ya ram dog che na chi ki jen da ti la ram dog che ge ta ka chu ni su dro ge ne tang de na ku ngo din da chi cha yo res.
Okay, when people are first learning about science, frequently there are a few things they believe that are actually wrong. So let's fix a couple of these common misconceptions and try to learn something about science.
Ani chu khotsu ge samlu na na data tata tsenri ko kola tata degi yore samgu yorda imba na tong nisu nor de yore swa ne dina do ge ta pichun khashi chu yore ta nga chu ge re shin ta ani tsenri kola ya lokto kare kare chu do de se la ya en kung tong nisu ne tang kan do chi men tela tagi yens.
The first common misconception people have is the idea that science is always correct. A personal favorite example of this is one time people used to believe that the Earth was the center of the solar system.
Da picha sha ba na chi kari sana nga chu lok to chi kari ore sana cheri sa ti katim ba na yang ta pare so da ku pe tu pro ya ta shi tre se ne didero ge ta mi la ya yi chi didero chi ore san de la ya ni chi pichun to nga chu ge chi shu ba na pichun ya shi te kare sana ne na wi gi tikap chi la ya ne kari sam go re sana ane sukola di ane nyimi chimji ge wa nyimi chimje ta ya na jikmen kam ge dewa re se ge ane kuchula yechi tang goa tin chi yores.
This example is good because it shows us that at times scientists can make mistakes, and over time, as more research is done, we fix our misconceptions.
Ta tanda dina ro chi ba na de ya pinsun ya go chi le skar chi la pa na sanri ki ko logic thani ane khari ore sana kap chi la ya sanru pa ge ko chu no tri zo ta no tri chong ge ne tang tin da yores. Imba na yang ko ti rim shin tan da chi de te ane ko takshe tang shimji ma to dribala tin de te nga chu chi ko no wa tang lok to yo pa ba na ti sek do ge ran shin chung war wa instan balan di thene na tanda ge pinsun ya go chi res.
It's important to understand that science is currently the best supported position by evidence, and the beauty of it is more people can collect evidence to update our understanding.
Tanda de la yang atsu ge chi ke chi shi chi kar cha go re sena ni tanda chenri se de ani tanda ge cha la yang atsu ge da chi ge nyu tang te ge ne tang te ge ya ko to ya shui tang ting de shi ya shui ti cha go yo re yin bai na yang du rim shin ten ro tang te ne nga tsu ge kar su re da tak shi chi de shin ji chi tang tu de ro chi la ten de te ani nga tsu ge ko to te la ya khasap chi ge ko to te la yang ko anjura du res.
The next misconception to talk about is this idea that science is complete. If your idea of science is something that you read in textbooks, I can see why you would understand this.
Da ya ko lok to shen da chi kar re sen chen ri se ti cha chong wa re da yong su jok pa re se go re da tin da do go lok to chen yo re da tin da do chi ba ne ge ti chorang ge chi lok te chi ju de tin chen ri ko la jang yo pa na tin da do go lok to ti ko ni yo pa ti ne ha kut kudus.
Much like what David talked about, science gives us new questions that research can then take and try to answer. So science is always progressing as more and more questions are thought up of and new research is done to answer those questions.
Da David Giswana shin de dan da nga chu ge chen ru pa zu kar chi go re se na ane ko draw chi tang wa te la ten de ti draw ti la len de bya gi che to ne chi sim ji chi tang tu der chi de ti ane ko chen ri de la ya ane ko yer je tang shi sha go pong de ane pun sun chi chu la dang ge re is.
This one's an interesting one because this gets at what people think research is. many people think that research must include an experiment.
다 대양 그 양산부치 차고레스 가르치라바이나 그 다시 심지고 거다 저와요 거레스 와 디갑스 미 만포치키 가르스 그랬다 즉 심직 세비갑스라 리서치 심직 세티갑스 심직지 저와이 바나 티나라야 다시 지 인지 민지 구글에서 야게 네타 텐다 징아 이게 고톡 텐다 징을 해대요레스
Research, in fact, can take many different forms, including observation. You can do surveys. There are a variety of ways to try to answer a question that you have.
당가 쪽에 심지 세비값스 임바나 코치타 만포치오레스와 에티나네 지 임바나 저런 거 다십 지나라 거래 지치나 양아 속 서비스 담발라야 제십 그트와드나도 좀 삼수드런 지어지고와 딘라게 네탄가네 지바이난 거레스
Experiments specifically involve carefully controlling variables to isolate one variable's effect on another.
당가 쪽에 딱시에 지고라 딱시디 드비값스다 고기다 딱시게 답런데다 잡잡 슈지지 아니 디가니 당가 쪽은 지탄탄 지치지고라 지탄탄 지치 카치라야 잡잡지 데틴다 당진지 데티 당진제 바인바이나 당진지 바이나스네 텔렌지와 지렌지와 당바이나 셴다딜라야 네 지탄탄 야는 지치 셴다라야 네 챕터 간다로 주주 두무두세 네탄테 타기요레스
Not all research must be an experiment, but the key detail is that all research needs a question to begin your research.
따티가서 심지 소디가서 인치미치드나로가 딱셰치 구아데나 마레스 딱게 지슈티가 속에 다 심직셀라야 게치슈티 가리오레스나 델라야 게치슈티 땅보델라야 공구주사기다 좋아지 쿠고요레스
This final one is about why we do research. Some people believe that research must be done to try to give us something new that is useful.
따티가레스나 나쪽에 양치 심직티 두고야기 준생이 될라레스 다 미카치케 가르상거레스나 심직 세대 인침치 드브데다 코그 듬디테 타망아술라야 베주요 빠지고요레스 인더상고요레스
A classic example of this would be something like medical research. Let's say I have a new medicine and I want to see if it will make David more healthy. This is an example of doing research to address a specific need.
다 피차샤 바인바나 게팅알라 지가 멘치요 바인바나 멘틸라 탁시치데 데게 아니 지나사티 고트근도무도 텔라 뱅근도무도 탁시도야지고 스타티나도 인바나 디캅스 네 탁시 드비아티로와 심지 드리아티고 주디 가리체드 지고레스나
However, there are other very valid reasons to do research. I could want to find something new, like that medicine, or I could be trying to see if that medicine, which works on David, will work on other people, like women or children.
다야 디나로 가네야 단다게 강게 팀바나 코무기게 시다치가 간 뜻하기요로와 다 셴바인바나야 코심직데야데 간나로 지아요레세나 지치나 멘토야므나 셴다가데아요레 스피샤 샤바이나 멘치게티 데비드 라야 펜트쿠바이나 디아니 미 셴다가라 펜트콘도므도 범메 간라야 펜트사린도므도 야나 부게 간라야 펜트사린도므도 라이 라소파게 심지건 데아요레스
Finally, some of the best research of all time has been done because people were curious about how the world worked around them and wanted to better understand their surroundings.
다티나네 셴다 지야 타마텔라야 아니 가스그레 당가 쪽에 심직나네 심직이 쉐당스고로 다티 칸다스투비오레스나 미코 쪽에 아니 지 수수가 탈라요 빈직당 감게 자와치 당치고로와티 칸다노치나 세게 신도 글로라테네데테 네코 신직 마스터 드up주게 네탄티안 차요레스
There's a wide variety of reasons to do research, but the thing holding them all together is this fundamental idea of having a question and wanting to answer it.
하나디 갑승아 주 심직지 드야벨라야 심직디 드비알라 코다 지 캐퍼다 네탄데 만보지가 간에 드야도 가와 임바이나 다티 나네 타마텔라야 다 그게 밥사디 로다 코 네탄다 캐퍼만도 만보요레스 이나야 타마티 밥사디 코 밥요레스나 사마게 직지로 문이 좋아지던 좋아들라야 렌데베야게 아니 탑시티 지기요레스.
Genda, question.
No. Yes.
I have a question. Like so far, I assume that scientific knowledge that we have must be acquired through scientific methods, which includes experiment. So how do you distinguish that research from the experiment?
George, you want this? Yeah,
Yeah.
take.
Experiments are a type of research for sure, but some questions need to be answered in ways that don't involve an experiment necessarily.
Yeah, that taxi ko dramatic resana ani karsanga chugi taxi sa chur experiment taxi chirwa research na shinjirwa shimji tang taxi sa te ge capital kan ro chi chege beswa imen da tanda de kapsanga chugi shimji sa te ja che sala ya sharwa ani tingna ne taxi sa te ku shimji chi ya ga ni ani ku chi thab ga thablan ma suna ta na ni chupcha chagi yes.
Let me give you an example. Let's say I want to understand if smoking is bad for people, smoking cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
In that instance, I cannot force people to smoke cigarettes because that could kill them. Instead, I would have to ask people who have smoked or people who have not smoked if they're healthy.
다 피차샤 바이나 가서 다 타마로 타마 동안라 되는데 가서 다 지가 좀 유메텔라야 심지진이 도 바이나 아니 다 당보텔라야 미치라 가서 다 타마마 동냐라 우스키 잡지 타마 동치 딱세치야요 말와 레마레 이스탄발에 지치나 양 되게 미 속전 양한테는 로치스 바레스 이스탄발라 아니 가서 그래다 타마 동니 토마도 타마 스퍼드 타마 동니 리라야 니 파레트리데 돈 테라 아니 코 타마라 되는데 땡코게
David will talk about this a little bit very shortly, but briefly, some research simply requires that we use other methods besides carefully controlling our variables like we do in an experiment.
양 참참라 양아 주고다 experiment system 발라야 딱시 집이 값스 나라야 아니 잡잡지데디 구군 주장당은 집치 카치라야 잡잡지 당진지야기네 당치거와 대용고요레스.
Hopefully that answered your question just a little bit, and truth be told, we'll get into it just a little bit more in a moment.
다 되게 리와이스 렌 테베 비로이스 임바나 다나디 값승아 주게 this start jiwate ani kale de kolaya mutunangres.
So let's talk about when science goes wrong, because scientists in the past have done many really terrible things and have abused people and done very bad experiments.
당아 주게 단다 네 참르다 로람라얀 루비게 네탄 카칭고트치 인스탄 데비 디컵라야 나츠게 챤르 딱시치데디 딱시치비 트레니 아니 카르스고레다 미랑 니 소차라버드 미라야 아니 슈다 너슈탄와다 딘다다 아니고 든덕 쓰고라다 자와디 하창기 녜바딘데 드립치그 네탄 딘다 총요레스.
Listed here are 5 of the most famous science experiments that have really abused people in the past. I should say that these experiments were very terrible, but their underlying questions are still questions that scientists have today, and they're very good questions.
다단다긴 데라야 게 민가 직지샤였다 데이터 인바나가 수그 테릭기 딱시 심지그 로지 트레니다베 하정다 둑시 메라야 지기다 가르스고레다 미간라야 딱시 데베당 아니 틴다로 치주기다 두부 슈치 요레스와 임바이나야 센리다 디주게 고게 주와치거와 중군죽사기 주와치거와 티말 좋아야 버리스 센리가 좋아야 버리 딘사 임바이나야 코 디기텔라야 고 주와통야기 된다 차요리 심반난 데이터다 고 로지노네 득슈 차바데 네 메라야 내추럴당 아니 두부당하기니 당대 좀 요청레스.
I'm not going to go into all of these, but these have resulted in many terrible things. But on the other hand, we should say the questions are good, but the way they did experiments was very bad. they used human subjects to do human subject research and abuse their subjects. Yeah.
다 단다데 값에 고 딱셰데 땅원이 갈수 그래다 두푸지요레스 다 두푸지야데 가레스나 고수 딱셰 드베야기 탑런지요 와트 양마토 바텐데레스 야쿠메 잔레스 임바나치르게 고수게 야 데캅싱이 디셰샤이스 드라야포레스 산르게 드라야포레스네 야포레스 임바나야 딱셰 드브사티 미간라야 딱셰 드요자 아니 메라야 고게다 시족당 나슈티 땅요레스.
So how do we prevent this in the future? Well, there's something called research ethics. Research ethics is the incorporation of ethics, which is the study of morality, basically, and the application of it, to research, which you guys have learned a little bit about.
다 딘란다오게로와 다 지금 심직 나라야 아니 돈당 냠바된다 만료와 제도 네 강고지야라야 그리어레스나 내가 수 심직 스툼세디어레스 다디 치탕 스툼세나 카레스나 가수고 장쉐티 아카나로치치기 메테로와 다디 캅세나 조디 카레스나 카르스그레다 체리 심직 나라야 가수 장쉐기 아니 락란티 간다로 냠지치구두 세티게네 던디레스.
This will basically place limitations, telling scientists what research can and cannot be conducted.
단디 값은 반난데게 다 심직 스트림 데게 나솔라야 센리팔라야 심직 가리치그 듭초바당 가리치그 듭마롱 와로와 되게 산섬티 쿠토치그레 즈마치그레스.
In scientists, which does not have any ethical limitations, allows for many abuses when those experiments could have been done in different ways that wouldn't have involved the harm of humans.
다 딘다도치 메파임바나 스트림 딘다도치 메파임바나 양코 다 메라야 카르스그레 다 지가 나처럼 메라 시조치야게 네탄티 모용고요레스 임바이나 양 게티 니 딘다도 스트림 게탄 롤링 도탄치 요파임바나 데이터라 텐데데 양코 심지 데이터가 드립 투파 간실라 양코 드비아테야 지 메라야 지 카르스그레다 쩐당 나처럼 시조티 마용비간네 디베그 토티나 요요레스.
And this is sort of my opinion, but this is where religion and culture, which has a relatively constant definition of life, can be quite useful, because science throughout history changes its definition of life a lot. And so that can change what can and can't be studied, whereas religion is constant.
타피샤샤는 내가 니탄데라 양아수 컨트롤 지금 팽그레세나 네 체속 세데 임바나 체속게 지 고든 샤단치어로 때라야 지단 지로메 바템부 임베게 아니 지 최당 수정데다 이게 엔델 펜트고레스로와 아니 다 데이터로 지나 해바임바나 가sul 펜트고레스 피샤샤는 천리 임바나 천리 그 체속게 지 천리 샤단치어로 어때라야 지런 로고 지로 친인자 아니 고다 지금 넥처 땅 수정 땅치고로 체속라야 느비기 셔 드베된다 좀요레스.
So George and I have talked for quite a bit at this moment. Does anybody have any questions?
다나가란 얘기 다 소스를 개체시하세요. 제주 나오네. 드라이인 US. 드라이인 US.
좋아졌어.
나서.
니 좋아디 단다 심주 고르시고 알았다. 심주 시티즌 바디 심주데 저다 케벤 던던이고래 야 심주 지세 유디 의외 내줄래 내가 가르치기 두세 줘라. 니조 던던이고래 해서 디제 다 케벤 던던이게나 케벤디 아닌가 좀 미기다 디두다 니네 콜 케벤 던던이고래야 디 마임바 다 디조 간다 미 케벤랑 삼단 심주 지고래 디 가르치고래서 어디 저디.
His question is about the purpose of doing research is mainly focused on the benefit of the outcome of the research, or is like it's because we are curious about how things work. Also, like when we think about the benefit, it's mainly about the benefit of the humankind or others.
You look like you're chomping at the bit, George.
Yes, I would say both are very good reasons to do research. As an example, some research is medical and you're trying to heal people or try to understand people better, like psychological research.
다 단다게 다 지가 다 셰프리아게 다 심지리아게 여기 마소나 니샤 준센티게 첨부 야포레스 피샤샤 파이나 삼삼라야 나츠고 양 심지된다 드리온 스tambal라 심지 드비 값스 아니 미게 다 나사동 된다 더올라야 아니 지가 가스고레 펜토가기 체트 무기 된다 전드고레스 피샤샤 파이나 나츠고 삼캄 드바톤데 위게 아니 심지된다 드고레스.
Those would be examples of what we call applied research, where we're applying the new knowledge to a specific problem. But there's also another type of research called basic research.
단다게 되게 르데 바인바나 가수게 applied 서고라다 배추 땅 조구 쟁기 심지 서고리 가르치고 서고라 바이나 심지 지에데디 아니 고 심지 지에데디 심지 되게 점데 되고 배추 상신된 비게 탄치라 주고 여러 티라 조구 쟁기 심지 지 현다인 바이나 야 가수게 다 지땅기 심지세 basic research 지땅기 심지세 되나 요레스.
A good example of basic research would be something like understanding how gravity works. Humans don't need to understand gravity to simply be able to stand up and walk around. We can do that on our own.
다 피샤샤 바이나 가수 야 지땅기 basic research 지땅기 심지 그 배춘지까지 요레스나 피샤샤나 아니 가수 텐슈기 자와간다로 지치그레세 지고라 지땅디 학과 지도 심지르바 타고 피샤샤는 거르스다 디캅스 임바이나 집단계 가서 지금 잠링강네로 한다 가서 야 랑치 컴바자라야다 스콜라기 텐슈케 네탄테 마고나 하마고나 트코레스 가서 티메 파임바나라 야 랑트바다 조당 가서 랑징기 지트코레스 임바나데 니코 자와군군이게 네탄테 간다로 지임바 지 히야기 제도네 지고르 데라야 가서 집단계 심지스고레스.
The scientists who described gravity mathematically were not trying to solve a problem initially. To help us, they were instead just wanting to understand how the world works.
따탄다데 값스 찬리바게 아니 가수 텐슈게 네던데 안스게 람라 그바데 네쿠수게 지카스 강이치 세야도게 네탄치 담보금 일아요 말레스 디값스 소데카레스나 아니 잠링 서거던 직땡 캥기 장외기 저와치당 가나 로시임바데 네 하고야당 네 대시 쫌야기 치드레스.
But much like what David said about science and research, basic and applied research are very connected because as we understand more, people can come up with new solutions based on those ideas.
한다 단다 데르게 셰파나 신데 가서 심직당 산르게 니차베데 지라 지데요레 사바나 신데 단다게 가서 라퍼트 니 페추쟁기 타추구쟁기 심직데라 텐데데 네가서 가르스고레다 천리게 말라티 고 시샤기 봉보데 제라다 가르스고레 제라 지지라 땅 아니 가르스고레 양가줄라야 삼츠당 고톡서와텐데 니기요레스.
So even basic research, which isn't trying to fix a problem, still is very beneficial to all people.
That piece of banana sugar castle. Just the basic lana chitangi, na jistagi, shimjing the imbana, who is chirgin by Natako, that you can get sagi, chet to the maris, imbana yanko, the pentwede, and it's harm like pentwires.
Any other questions?
The research ethics. So to formulate the research ethics, what kind of people involved behind it? Who plays the key roles? Are these people politicians, religious, or the scientists?
That is a wonderful question. So the truth is it's a mixture. It's a real mixture of all three of those things you said. The first one, let's start with general people like us, right? We place pressure on scientists by telling them what should and shouldn't be done. If we think that something isn't great, in the US, you see people protesting all the time against certain research, rightfully or wrongfully. Okay, continuing on. Hopefully I'll speak a little slower and a little bit more clear then. Politicians control a lot of the funding used for research, right? So when they distribute funding, they get to decide what they think is ethical. And if they don't think something is ethical, then they're probably not going to give it as much money. The final one is scientists. There are entire groups of scientists, well, some people within the scientific community at least, whose goal is to basically look over certain research proposals, ideas for starting new projects, and tell them, oh, I think this isn't quite right, or this could be done better, or try something else, right? So in truth, it's all three of them that work together.
David, sorry, can you repeat that again? Because I was cut off for a while. I just
Yeah, of course.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll start from the beginning.
Sorry.
So the truth is there are all three of those people affect things quite a bit.
Yeah, go on, please.
The first one is that the general public can affect things by telling politicians or protesting, which happens very, very frequently in the US if they don't like a specific project or they think it's unethical.
다 단다게 데이터 고주 참마 정부 요리스 다 참마기 냠친도 요리스 피차샤바네 당포텔라야 나주게다 미만 만초 공연에 아니 텔라 가서그레다 지금 무고지야 당한테나 더올라 테네데 가리용 거래서나 아니 다 찹스바로와 찹스바 고주 제탄 데드금도 켄디기면도라 소파게 네탕테 용데타 네 고주게 지 델라테네데탄 주라타게 네탕테 용요리스.
The second, which you mentioned, politicians, they are the people that largely control funding for research. So if they don't think something is ethical, they won't give that research as much money to do its work.
다 셴다땡아 주게 티레스 가사 다 차스파리스 다 차스파주고 조데고 주게 다 심지지라야 아니 망우디 땅마땅기 타수도 고수지기 요리스 틴스탄발라야 고수면에 알테코다 정초땅게도 정초땅다다 되게면도 삼바인바이나 야 고심지데라야 아니 지금 망우디라고 말했어.
Finally, you mentioned researchers, which is totally correct. There are groups of researchers whose entire job is to look over research proposals, new ideas for new projects, and then basically say, this could be done differently. This isn't okay, or please add this to make sure that the subjects are okay.
다때 셴다땡아 주야 신지바딘다요 요리스 고수 가르치고레세나 다 신주게 지가 양코레 년시 잡주치고라 데탈라 데데단 데나라야 아니 첼하 가르치도 아니 고 준체 가르치도 다 팀바나 고 장슈게 테네로와 어디디 티기부도 말랭고도 아니 디 티기부도 데라디 카는치고도 세로 당야나 어디 두스 제네 티기부도 제탄 셴다 가는 두스 제네 디기도 세게 야 틴달라 푼치니게 양코 신지바딘다요 요리스.
I hope that answered your question. And generally, there are certain principles by doing no harm, making sure that people understand what they're part of, and general guiding principles that influence how research is conducted.
다텔라야 저런 거 좋아들 렌테베기로 유스 지땅 찬이다 지사기 찬이 셰파인바나 고슬라 지땅게 아니 고가 다치 지사기 람튼 틴다요레스 조데 아니 고 셴달라야 치와 마치게 강네 와 치와 마치게 강네 아니 고 탁시심지 지야기다 심지 주야기 아니 고
So we'll take more questions at the end of the presentation as well and throughout it. But I do want to make sure that we have time for everything else. So, oh, please.
So 저와디와 지 차바이나 선생기 타마데라야 가수 좋아 딜런치야기 고급디여 버치긴 다 개치시데 아니 티 말랭에라야 가서게 진짜 최초와 진짜 최대 아니 고 다다 차바치긴
Okay, let's play a fun game to go over some of the material we've just reviewed.
다 단단가서 단다 지장으로 단다 모터 지저 대달아야 니 저정도나 저십지역이 체도 단단가서 심무치지긴
You'll explain while I do this. Let's roll.
Yeah, the way this works is you're going to take out your laptops and go to the website that David is showing on the slides.
Oops.
It's cahoots.it. I can put that in the chat if that would be helpful.
Where does it start? There we go. That chat won't help anybody, George.
Can you share the website again?
Hold on. So if you will all please go to kahoot.it, right? Or you can scan this on your phones. You can get into pairs, but this is like a little bit of a quiz. It'll be nice and fun and quick and sort of try to answer the questions as quickly as you can while getting the answers right, and you get points and you can compete against your friends. Please post it on the classroom. Okay, got you.
Okay, while you're joining, I'll explain how it works. We're going to show a question on the screen, here projected for you all. Then you will have 4 possible answer choices. You will have to choose the correct answer on your screen based on the question we're showing up here.
Tanda de timu de tetan kan do re sena chesu da nala zugoro nala zunu chela ya ane joa re sharong gres joa re la ya ane ko damka re yores wa damka re mas damka shi yores ta chesu ge karichi go re sena ane joa de ge lenti damka ya shi te damgu yores.
You get points for being faster than your friends. We don't have anything to give you if you win, but if you ever come to Emory, I will buy you a lunch.
Ne chesu ga ropanyam tine diores tanda thela ya ane su thopa imba thela ya tanda nyemba tinda treni tanda tradichi mes imba ne chela ane Emory le pepa imba na ane nyinkon shela la ya jinda chigins.
Okay, has everybody joined?
Chama chaswai.
Someone number the Minglu.
What is the password?
The password is this probably little game pin. So 8815466.
Nah, da nan zuela password go do peche gang la ye game pin la sto wa je jinga shi tuk se de tanga sto wa gang la.
Yeah,
hopefully English.
Shouldn't be much of a password.
Is
everybody good?
Yes, sir.
You can see a lot of thumbs, maybe. If you haven't been able to log on or you're having trouble, at this point, you can join along with a friend. Actually, a lot of people are still joining.
Oh, yeah.
I'll wait a little bit more. I'll wait a couple more minutes. I'll wait another minute. Okay. All right. Let us try this. Okay. Where's this?
We cannot
press it. Huh. That's interesting.
No, because maybe it is due to internet. We are not able to see the pictures on the screen of our cell phone.
Oh, so you can't see the pictures on the screen on your cell phone. All you can do is select the right answer. So you can either select the red, the blue, the yellow, or the green answer.
I see. So,
yeah.
So we okay.
Yeah.
So we can read on the screen board. Just click the color.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why we started with this question, because it's a little bit simpler to answer.
Loyalty tanda chesu ge de karpon te nga chembo de nga teng ge wa yo de ga la ya loyalty lo ani ti tan dewe gi ani centra kare rindu se de ani khapar ga le peche dam ya des.
Yeah, so try to look up at the screen, then find the answer that you're looking for on your phone, click it, and then we'll keep going. Okay.
So
us
can you
continue.
show one more the first questions, because we all didn't know, many of them we didn't answer it. But it's okay. If that is not reset, then we can go continuous.
Yeah, the next one's really easy too. The first two are like very much practice questions. They're sort of nice, simple, don't worry about it. So it's time to practice, right? We know that we were expecting some technical difficulties with this. Okay. Let's continue. So for those of you that got that question right, good job. I didn't know that answer a while ago. But as you guys can see, right, just select the answer. You guys seem to do much better that time around than the previous. So we'll continue moving on. Hopefully you guys are getting the hang of it. Let us continue. Ooh, very fancy. This scoreboard will change as you guys get more and more things correct.
Yeah, true.
We cannot read it.
Oh, you can't read it? Ooh.
No, we can't read it.
No. The letters is so small, we can't read it.
Yeah. Is this a little bit better?
It's better. It's better.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. No, I can't zoom in like that. Okay. We'll try continuing. Yeah, sorry about that. Kahoot is, yeah, it's a little difficult to run. There's a full screen button on the left. Oh, there is. Is that a little bit better? Hopefully. Okay.
Yes, it's better.
Perfect. So as we discussed earlier, 3 of these are very good reasons to do research, right? Testing if you're curious about something, trying to learn more about your environment, seeing how something works, right? Whether a new medication works, or whether something has general validity, those are all very good reasons to do science, as George said. The one thing I would say, don't go into research for money. If you're just doing it because you're paid to or something like that, don't do it. I highly don't recommend.
심지지에데 당가라야 라포테선 스페처테선 제장이 지기에서 tinda chide chane machiro manorojes.
George and I have met people like that, and they're whatever. But anyways, continuing on.
Te lapote chitene tose chini tinda ta two songs made in the tinichi two songs that tinda chire dosta.
Ooh, Tempa's very far in the lead. Very nice. Let's continue. So a little bit more of a split, right? So as to the question, should all research be performed? That goes to the idea of the research ethics.
Da de la ya le just ambala ya ko this parts la ya je do wa de kap sung so de kar se na ya shinji chama chi gu re chi gu ma re sa de na de de kap se kar yong re se na nga zu shinji ki chum yo wa de na de yong re.
So while all questions are worth asking, and there's no really bad question in that way, we shouldn't perform all research because some of it can harm people, and it's a little bit dangerous.
Da de kap se chirgi ba na nga zu chen gi shin bi tan de ge twa chama ta na chu re se na ko ta na thi re ren thong da ba re se na chama che re se na chama che yo ma re ka chi ba na me la ya kar su re ji ge no chun che da de me che ya nin ka chen bu de na yo re.
So moving right along. Very nice. So for this one, we haven't quite gotten it into it yet. We don't make up research as we go. There is a very specific order to keeping things consistent and methodical in science.
Tan de to ta dem du sa le ti ge pe ge na de nga ti cha do chue se de nga ti che do wa ne chir ge ba na nga su ge chen ri ge sim ji chi be kap sir wa ani chi ko gurum ni chen chi ro ta concept ge ram ba ni chen shi ge je su du su ju gu yo res mo sun ro ge zo ge che ten de yo ma res.
And while having somebody tell us, like a fellow mentor or fellow peer, or reading it online is good, there's an order to the steps, right? Which is the scientific method, which we'll get into.
Da ya mi chi ge nga so la song ta lam ton ba ton tho ton ba tu ge de chi go re ken de chi go re de shi ja chi go wa ni tang ten de do tang ya na ne chi ge tra thon ne lo ya chi go ma de da di yo re sim ba na ya de kap se ko sim ji chi be kap se ne ko chi guram ni chen chi ji gu yo re ane de ka re se na chen ri ke tablang ge guram ta ji gu yo re de ka le mo tri chi yes.
But we have our very first set of winners, so let's see who they are. Congratulations to Tempa, Choyang, and Ramos. Very nice, very nice. So let us continue on with our little lecture. Let me see. I'm like moving around 4 things at once. Yeah, I'm aware, George, by the way, so we'll probably speed this up just a tad bit. A little less on the examples. Okay. So hope you guys enjoyed that little detour. And as I just said earlier, we're going to get right into the scientific method.
네 텔라야 테스트 정하기로 예스와 네 단단가서 양치 아니 차이가 답변 못 지야데 good.
So let's talk about this. How does the scientific process help us learn?
단가서 차이가 주름 치고와 차이가 주름 되게 가서 답변 지야래 핸드폰으로 지기로레스.
There are two key ideas, which are standardization and reproducibility.
takolaya nangto masona nangto juniores zodi tseden zuwa wa standardization tseden range zuwa chiche ani niba de stretching range jigoro to chagores.
Standardization is the way we keep science and the order of the steps consistent. So that way our procedure and our methods are always the same.
Tako tablam tang jurum chigoro tanda de gas tseden zuwa system bala toshi chitte pi kapsu korum ta ta dua chigoro de kapsu zodi ngaso 지 tablam tang jurum chigoro ti takta de ge yopagi ne tandres.
Reproducibility is the idea that I can do the same procedure again and again and again and get the same results, but also that I could give George my procedure and he can do it in his lab and get the exact same results as well.
한다 데 갑승아 주가 스트링 그랑신 사이드 갈수 그래서 나랑기 지금 다시 제바이나 땡아는 게 양치 제바이 마이나 나가 팀지 랑자 지발 해 지당 네 때문에 현당 가는 거 오빠 조지로 코로나 제바이 마이나 코로나 게 딱시게 칸라에 단다게 아니 그 딱시 드비 고름데 다 제바이 마이나 코로나 제바이나야 팀지 랑자 해게 네튼 tinda치 차고요레스.
Now, these two ideas together are very, very important because if you cannot do the same steps, the same procedure again and get the same results, it's considered invalid.
tako dan dege netan den hatin ke chimbo chagoyo res ta gede choron de tapse chichi ani jirum de dala method chipa chichen kan dro imbai na choron na chimje de chipa chichan chi chagme bai na dan de kapsu ko ta ji shimji de imbai na ji ta pentome ju chora invalid chagoyo res.
This is why, as scientists, it's very important to write down all the methods and how you change them to be sure that your experiment is as consistent and precise as possible.
That teacups so derwa, any teacups, any GB cups that go toxic GB cups, Jurum Kanda yin, Tima, you talk Guedan, or tablets on my Guedan, Tinane, Yanchoronge, in Jura Karichitan by Bana, Jura Karikari tying in the Kantian Gueta hatching kitchen which is the team by Nakar, Zukarisena quota, Chiki like Chiki Pokore, Junti Neagitroa, or the Chete, Zuketchum Chaguris.
And this leads us to this idea of this consistent process is the scientific method.
That delaying at so that Henrica Tablan say, any cook Rimbachora, Rimbatembuchiora, or the dog so genius.
The scientific method is a useful method of asking questions and answering questions, such that the results are always systematic and repeatable, and it's only composed of a few simple steps.
That's Henrica Tablan in Bina, so Joachindo Aton Telaya, Landagi, any tablanti, tablanti, that tablichi, patient tablichiris, data yonko, and Delatem de ne cook trimdich or in Djibouti, Lanti for Jurumton Dembakashilayans, Jardirum at Ledoching Gorista, the Ledo tablanti not chitang in Bana, Nico Contemasona, Combamasona, Rumbamasona, Cotabdu, Kachi Tsuburis.
And as you guys will see it, the scientific method is as follows. It starts with an observation, something around the world, about the world that you notice. It is followed by a hypothesis, which is some sort of answer, some sort of idea about that phenomena that you noticed. It is then an experiment, some sort of test, data collection, some observations or numbers about that, a conclusion, you thinking about that data, and then a retest, you trying it again.
The decaps, the decaps, big, it's getting answer the thing, or my juju, Sawatita Tata, the Kangi page on the dig to school. That is in this what there is. So, much tampote that toshes Nataship, there is that I should take a similar charange, a to non chong wigin a tanchi diana, a shangin a tanchilla some did twache, nay, a treasure said, the Carisena, treasure de capsus to. Tetan David Susu Tonwa Tela and David and Tela and then the Viagi, the Tanda which Chagoris, Rota, Dua Dina Land Devigin Machaguris. The tickets Jelaya, quote Taxi, Drip Taxi, Capsule Bana, take Jelly, Asugi, Data Jevigita needs to Tayana, Tang to the Richigua, or Tang to the Rich, and it take Jelang Asugi, Net Ticket, attach it Hadong with the Tontium Goris.
I should say this is the scientific method as you guys will see it, and it's always in this exact order. But for George and I, we like to add one little step, which is a question after the observation. Oh, there we go. A question after the observation.
That under the cups, Chitangi Chitsuge, and the Tamati and Suge, the toxic jet the church, the church. That Chitangi manages to the Panram Chigora, Panram didn't know which point we were Simana Tanda, and George Tangara Nigi Tigi, Captelaya, Jua Segi, and Chiga, Jua Segi, Chiganko, Kurum Chiga, Kanachini to do stay, and that Tashibki Jelaya Kanachinians.
Okay, so let's start going through the first few steps of the scientific method so we can understand how to get our own research started, if that's something you would like to do. Observation is where the scientific method starts. This is where you notice something interesting, just using your natural senses.
Then this would the touches the Dikaresena, Nichirangichi, Yansengi, Jamichi Tomba, so this was Sugiane, Wambo Latin, Chitojanchi, Toyach.
Some fun examples of observations are something like noticing that all rocks fall at the same speed, even though they're different sizes.
The Pichun Chishaba in Bana, Dogi Chichon Mindanayam Kotsuma, Honyatirwa, Josechi Tungo on the Tungu, Patinando Laya, Tachichon at the Goris.
Or some very fundamental observations a chemist might have is noticing that drops of water stick together, or that wood weighs less after you burn it.
Ngata Wayan Chug, Zinjur Johnny Bana, Karitongorесena, and it chug to Batizu Bana, called Hunting Jergy de Giopatan, Nishinchi made Tanu Jelaya, Kuchianla Drugupa, didn't know yours.
All of these are really simple observations that you could notice if you were just looking around you.
That dinner, the data carries and a chipping to get you a daba in Bana Namjin Tonde, and each Netanta and a tap duty in a chagoris.
Also, some types of observations at the higher level of science come from reading somebody else's research and then also becoming interested in their work and seeing what you can do to build off of that.
Shenda Chikari or Sena Yachita Chige, Chiktis Hetuado, Mi Shenda Chikitashi Dishaguti Gani, Lova Latin data, Yanko Tig Nani, Joatoyata date on Jevi Gani Yanko Persevere. That de Latin data, Yanko Tashi Shinji, the Chachi sat on the Nado Susu to not a such or dig on that Tashi, Yanto Yoris.
So after we have an observation, we notice something interesting. There's naturally a question that comes with that. Why? It's this question, the observation and the question, that gives your research a purpose. Once we have this observation and now we have a research question, we can then think about coming up with a way to start designing our experiments. And that starts with your hypothesis.
That teacher one so the Tashi Chichon Telatin the Joa Chichon Batelatin and the dog so the Nishim Jichipo good to again the tablet chigres, and the Talatin the Tambode. And I took our chigres and I took that Tapsi Chon Tela and the Shejag, so on the Shejag, and it's Hushachi among Goris.
A hypothesis is simply just trying to answer the question that you have.
다 최소사에 대해서 가르치는 처럼라 요비가 좋아들라야 렌데비 답은 답이지레스.
Hypotheses share a few key characteristics. They're testable predictions.
다 콜라야 개취 가시 선거를 최소라라 담보대 가르치는 거 최다 지롱아.
So all hypotheses are testable predictions, meaning that they predict a certain answer to our research question, and they're testable so we can design an experiment around that hypothesis.
다고 지가르스는 거로와 단다디 체타다 미스가와다 아니고 덕세지롱아 인고레스 디 응외라양아 속에 지금 양 원포칭은 지고레스 단다 지금 덕세지주 다시 종주디 거라야 아니 원포칭지 되게 제라야 그 돈도스 체타바치가 강라야 그 덕세지롱아 지금 부분레스.
A key detail is that hypotheses are falsifiable statements, meaning that we can prove them wrong. A good hypothesis doesn't have to be correct. It just has to be something that you can gather evidence to either prove or disprove.
다 콜라야 야그 제주지 가르치고 있으나 초월드롱 거레스 딱 게등아서로 저서 야부지요 바는 저서 야부데 덴바탄 주바인비기 니와트네 요마네스 저서 야부지 바는 가서 때라야 거기 다 당투들지야 당 거기 다 준sen요로 방토된다 들으지와라 텐데데 아니 그 양난 지고다 양나 그 노라라야 그라트지야 지고와 뭐 딘단도 용야기 아니 저서치고 요레스.
Let me also give you some advice for making your own hypotheses. A very good place to start with making a hypothesis is using the if-then format.
다 단다 양 저서트나로 지샤야라야 야부지 두야기 양치고 지람트 마송나 답지 시바이나 때 지금 조 담보 고주사 다 야부지 룰루 야부지가 레스나 게테 nenden로 심바이나 니 데이터나 데나로 지레사 지거와 어딘데로게 아니 룰루디 베체탕트바나 야고요레스.
A good example of this would be saying, if I give David this new medicine, then his temperature will go down and he will become healthier.
다 비차샤바는 데라야 다 게데스와 니 데비드라야 니 맨디 테바인바이나 아니 데라테네데티 데타나 니 코게 루보게 지가 세티 말한 자그레스.
Best hypotheses also propose an explanation to why their answer may or may not be correct.
다 아쪽에 최샤 야쉐데라인바이나 양코게 다 렌치데요와 렌치주데 아니 되게 메데라 준생 코토치그레스.
An example would be saying, if I give David this medicine, then his temperature will go down because I'm killing the bacteria inside of his lungs.
다 티라 비샤샤파나니 데비드 게팅이 데비드라야 가멘디 테바이나 데타나 니 틸라테네데티 코게 가서그레 그렇지 말은 자그래서 준생가르치르서나 맨데게는 그런 게 로나나요 비게 nembutu 세그레스.
This if, then, because format is fantastic because it guides how you design your experiments. It tells you what variables you are interested in controlling and how you want to measure your outcome.
다 단다게 되게 가서 게데 데타나 준생가리면서 로다시고 데타 하치게 친구자고레스. 배야고요레스 데 탁시심지 드비 값을 체랑데 이게 아니 체랑게다 주탄던 주치만 보여로 되게 나네 가리가리 직 천진지구도 가리가리 칠렌 조라당고도 네탄테 텐데다에 타마 준비 간다로 칠레리기 요메기 네탄치고로 데이터가 아니 원수도 보가네 아니 타주트 그레스.
Altogether, the question that you have should come from your observation, and then the hypothesis that you have comes from your question. And these things are how you get started using the scientific method.
다 게치시티카레스나 조아데 가고네 연구레스나 저런 거 다시 듣는 연구레스. 아니 단다게 저런 게 최샤대야 아니 가리 연구레스나 조아데 당 저런 거 다시 좀 어딜라테네 데이터 연구로 디스탐블 데이터 아니 세리그 탁시에게 답변 나오는 요비게 네 답변 게 고름 게치 못 찾는데스.
So we will be playing one more round of Kahoot. But while we are setting it up, in the interest of time, do you guys have any questions to ask?
대 양정아 좀 지지 연수와 대양 코리 맞된 거라야 아니 저 추대 당선 제시대 양 저도 에요 나스.
So please, if you have any questions, please ask them now while I'm setting up the Kahoot.
다양 저요 반에 저 당어지스.
Where are they? No questions? Maybe.
Ready to play the game.
Guess so. Guess it was
Okay.
very clear. Why is this not giving me a QR code?
Probably the first one
Huh.
because you have a two-part.
Maybe. Let me check. No. Sorry.
Someone is entered.
Yeah, but it's not letting me get a QR code. That's weird.
Okay, they know that.
Yeah, just enter the game pin, unfortunately. It's right here.
Oh, they're already in it.
Yeah. Perfect. Let me full screen this as this. Okay, this is already zoomed in, I think. It's not. I can zoom in more. You good? Anybody having problems? Oh, there's a lot of people. Guess.
Not yet.
Not yet. Got it.
Nine.
Good?
Yes, look good.
Perfect. Let's begin. So that probably was a lot of words and hard for you guys to read. So my apologies. But what the order should have been is observation, hypothesis, an experiment, data collection, conclusion, and then a retest.
지만 보시도 세대 건다스 때문에 임바데 다시지 최샤지 다시지 당트들지 직덤지 되지라 양체 딱십지 어라데레스.
Hopefully the next ones will be a little easier to read.
Yeah, Jimate and a lot do your period, yes.
Okay, let's see. Somebody likes yak. Yeah. So although George and I have said to do the scientific method, and it is science, the real reason, right, is this idea of replicability and standardization. And that's something that we want to really hammer home.
tanda ngara George ngara ni ga labya lab yer da imba na ke chi she te tsene de na ne ko karsagore da chi te nga chu ge che de che de wa shen da te ane ko tseden zwe chu ra mi jen da mi shen da te ko jin zen te je lan du te chi te tsetan den ba zo tseden zwe chu te res.
So let's continue. Ooh, okay. Big shift.
Nice.
Very good, right? So we didn't talk about this as much because I didn't get as much time to, but what observations and research also help define is when you stop doing research.
Da di imba na ro di shu shu chi de she ja chong yo ma sin ba na nga su ge ji tanda ge ta shi je da ani zhuo de ge su de ane karsu da nga su mu yu ku chi de ka tu ji la ta she de ne ko cham sha gu yu me ne ta de ku chi yo song res.
Because from a scientist perspective, once you know more about the topic, right? Once you figured it out, you're done. You can then do other experiments if you have more questions.
Da chen ge chen ba jung ni she ba ba na ke de chorong la ya gu ya gi cha chin ma su na ni chum da ji dang yi shin ba mang bo ra su na ane me tu ji go yo ma wa si chorong la ya zhuo shen da yo su de ga la ya ta se chin ko res.
And as many of you correctly identified, it does give the research purpose. So very good job.
Da da de la chi chung ni ji wa na shen de la ya ani shin ji la ya mu ku tu chi ge se de ta rang ja res ni chi tu de la ya na shas.
Chanman's moving up. Very nice. So this is a very interesting one. Truth be told, this isn't the best form of a hypothesis. Let's talk about this, which basically says something along the lines of, if I drive to work, then I will get there faster.
Da de ka se ro da nga su jun sen de she ja was ta ma de ka se ro ke de ani mo ta ta ne le kan dro ba ina de la ten de tan dro na sa dan ta den sa ro ta ne ani jo ga le res.
George said, ideally, it has a because statement, which would be maybe like because driving is faster than walking.
Yang chi chi na yang su jun sen de ya ge ni tang ten de yu si de bi cha sha na jo ji de ru che ba ina chi gi na en chu mo da tang chin ba ban de kam ba ja le jo le ko.
This isn't a very sciencey statement in quotes, right? But on the other hand, it expresses this idea of an if-then statement very nicely, although because would have been nice, but Kahoot didn't let me put in that many characters.
Shirgin by Naro, Tanda data ko Henry K. Yang Jobachi recommend to see by Nayan De Nala Yako, Social Yapochi and Big Jinsen de Nakukete and Tiladochina, Segura the Kete and Tita Nasa, or Kete Tinasa, and a city that had a shastra. Till heads on the Yapo Chaglioris, then dig Tandagi Chimusi something like Timambo, Juna Diki Meza and the Jechoma songs Kete, Juna Diki, because Choroma, the Jinsen Karchin is a Jinsen, you Kanuchina decrease.
why the other three aren't really good hypotheses is because they're all statements. They're all statements about the world around us. They don't postulate something. They don't take a guess as to why they are what they are.
다 현대 디즈 참아고 디캅스 최셔야 보면은 그전 생각해서 그쪽 조밥에 땡케기 조밥치리도 스테트먼트 땡케기 조밥치리도 지금 가서 그래 나주 거기라요 비긴지 땡캄 기타 네타 쿠즈기 샤와치 땡콜라야 조밥고 타던도 지제서 마토피 데라 텐데 땡 간던도 인스파타 임스파기 지가 곰파 지야기 네타 치고로데 데라 민두스.
So even though steam and water and hydrogen bonding sounds really sciencey, those aren't necessarily hypotheses. Hypotheses can be more simple.
다 다들 값이 지가 담파 세도레 아니 랑주 세도레 아니 지가 양롱의 청줄 세도레 대다 인바이나 생리그다 치마 뭐지 나래데레 심바이나 양디 갑데라고 아니 최셔야 부지 차금에도 최셔 인바나 적당게 지조파 답 무딘다인 부레스.
Perfect. Now moving forward. Oh, that's a big change. Continue on. Very good. Many of you identified very correctly that the reason why we write down our results so carefully or our methods so carefully is so that we can replicate them if we need to.
다들 값이 제주 만치슈기 렌트야 디와티 문제지샤 조대가 속에 지지름대 간사 잡다지 이게 거고는 그 준선 조대가 그래서나 니게데 탁세대 양식 제준지구나 지용 답디하게 지기요레스.
I will say that the green answer is actually partially true, is that people in science won't publish your work if your results aren't replicable, but that's not the main reason why you should be writing down your methods.
단다게야 제파데 제파마스테 정쿠데 디에다 디고르스 케티 저런 그 점데데 다다 매바이나 제든지 그 매바인바나 고수그때 저런 것도 버튼지 말이스 이면에 단다데 값고 지 주름티 트고에 비준선 조데 단다 정쿠노나 있었대 말이스.
Very good. Many of you guys identified correctly that when the results aren't repeatable, this idea of repeatability, the experiment is invalid.
단다 만치슈기 다다 문제지샤 스팅아 속에 탁세티로와 점데데 제드치마 파인바이나 제드다 제든치마 파인바이나 네데 값고 네 탁세티스메레스.
And when the results are confusing or don't match the hypothesis, that doesn't mean the experiment's invalid. That just means your hypothesis necessarily isn't correct.
단다데 오라야 점데데 고뇨 보다야나 점데데 저저도 마트비 값에 내가 속에 탁세티스메 임비게 아티 청비요 말이스. 지제나 양코 가서 그래. 최샤데 양치 다다데메 비기니 탄데 나인스디스.
It should be said that there are many times throughout history that people have done wrong hypotheses that have learned so much more than they thought they would because they were wrong or because the results were confusing.
다 양코 가서 그래. 엄마게 야 지금 루지나타 바이바이나 거기에 최시간 노라지를 지냈대 당로와 네 전중고뇨 보다야나 그거 최소한 태야메 주고 준비 라발라텐 데데 난 직전 감기에 니룸 하지만 보지 두 스토리스.
So let's see the leaderboard. Very nice. What time is it?
Just one answer.
I think that gives it away. That's very interesting, by the way, that nobody chose yellow. That's very interesting. But yes, you guys all got it correct, right?
Someone dishes in a lose.
So on that note, let's see our winners. Very end.
Yes.
So congratulations to all of our winners, and thank you guys for playing along. Oh, my Zoom went black. Is everybody still there?
Yeah, yes, I can see you. I can hear you.
Perfect. I can't see anybody anymore. Very good. So I hope you guys all very much enjoyed today's lecture, or from me and George. And thank you guys all so very much for being attentive and listening. We really appreciate it, and we hope you guys learned a lot. Are there any final questions?
That the lens yabote sons rwane tomi sama tendishes the George Tangaran the those trade dance so yan zabzi jinyen dan to sons and sama to chase ani tamagi joa ju ayes. They're ready for tea break, I think.
Well, on that note, thank you all very much for having George and I, and we hope you guys enjoyed today's little side detour lecture.
Yeah, this ngaranila something check okay the chong like go chong snisha la ya chi so dan parola ya simutse chi kurachi chamber wa de le yang true yong yo yes.
Yes, and I'll also just say thank you to David and George. I think that was really great, and I hope everyone go enjoy some tea. And we're not quite ready for sleep yet, but we are going to talk about a paper that's related to sleep.
Yeah, so netanda nekoran chala ya David to join chagi generate about the ya pochon sons. Ane tandanga so nyegi chite le mindus so cha shegi chite sha sen te chela dan te chela yang so